Hello guys, it's the Unclear 999. Today's video is about anxiety and paranoia. Have you ever wondered why, even in moments of silence or safety, your heart races, your mind spins, and shadows of doubt creep in? Why we feel anxious and paranoid even when nothing seems obviously wrong? The answer lies deep within the design of our human brain. Long ago, when survival meant scanning the horizon for predators or sensing tension in the wind, our minds evolved to stay alert to threats real or imagined. Anxiety is not a flaw, it's a defense mechanism, a built-in alarm system that tries to protect us from danger. But in today's world, the threats are not lions in the jungle. They're emails we haven't answered, people who might judge us, bills piling up, or fears of failure and abandonment. Our ancient biology clashes with modern stress, leaving us in a constant state of low-grade fear. To understand anxiety, we have to recognize the role of the amygdala, a small, almond-shaped cluster deep within the brain that governs emotional responses, especially fear. When triggered, it sets off a cascade. Adrenaline pumps, heart rate increases, pupils dilate, and blood is redirected to major muscles. It's the classic fight-or-flight response. But in modern times, when the danger is not physical but emotional or psychological, our body still reacts as if we're being chased by a predator. This mismatch is a core reason why anxiety feels so overwhelming. We're physically reacting to something that may not even be present or real. Paranoia, on the other hand, takes this one step further. It's not just fear of something going wrong. It's the suspicion that others are plotting, judging, or intending harm. While anxiety whispers, "What if?" paranoia declares, "They are." It forms when trust is broken in childhood, in relationships, in society. It thrives in isolation and uncertainty. Our brains, wired to seek patterns and make sense of chaos, start connecting dots that aren't really connected. That glance someone gave you, that unfinished text, that silence from your friend. To a paranoid mind, they're not random, they're signs, but most of the time, they aren't. It's the brain trying too hard to keep us safe by assuming the worst. But where does this all begin? Often, it starts in childhood. The way we were raised, the love or neglect we experienced, the unpredictability of our caregivers all play a part. A child who grows up in a chaotic home learns that the world is unsafe. They become hypervigilant, always on guard, always scanning for threats. This hyper-awareness may have helped them cope back then, but as adults, it turns into chronic anxiety or mistrust. Even if everything is calm, their body doesn't believe it. It's still waiting for something bad to happen. Add to that the pressures of a hyper-connected world. Social media bombards us with curated perfection. We compare, we doubt, we internalize. Every post becomes a measurement of our worth. Every notification or lack of one feeds into our fears of rejection or exclusion. It's no wonder we feel anxious. We are drowning in stimulation, in judgment, in invisible rules about how we should look, feel, think, and live. And then there are the deeper, darker layers. Trauma and betrayal, loss, abuse. These leave scars that don't always show but always influence. When you've been hurt by someone you trusted, your brain doesn't just forget. It learns. People aren't safe. Love isn't permanent. Vulnerability leads to pain. So you build walls. You withdraw. You analyze every word, every action, waiting for the next betrayal. This is how paranoia can feel safer than trust. It gives the illusion of control, even if it isolates us. But here's the truth. Anxiety and paranoia are not signs of weakness. They are signs of a system trying to cope. They are evidence that we care, that we fear loss, that we value safety. The goal isn't to get rid of them entirely, because some anxiety is helpful. It motivates us, keeps us alert, helps us prepare. But when it becomes chronic, when it steals our peace and hijacks our thoughts, that's when healing is needed. Healing starts with awareness, naming the feeling, understanding the trigger, breathing deeply to calm the body before reacting. Therapy helps. So does journaling, meditation, nature, movement, real conversations, healthy routines. The goal is not to be fearless, but to be resilient. To know the fear is there, but to not let it drive. We must also unlearn what we've been taught, that productivity equals worth, that showing emotion is weakness, that asking for help is failure. These beliefs fuel anxiety. They keep us in cycles of perfectionism, people-pleasing, and burnout. They push us to pretend we're okay when we're not, but pretending doesn't heal. Honesty does. It takes courage to face anxiety and paranoia, to say, I feel unsafe, and I don't know why, to reach out when your mind says, no one cares, to rest when guilt screams, you haven't done enough. These are acts of rebellion against a world that worships hustle and hides pain. And each time you choose rest over panic, love over fear, honesty over silence, you are healing. The future can feel uncertain. The past may haunt, but this moment right here, right now, is a chance to breathe, to feel your heartbeat and know you're alive, to remember that not every thought is true, that not every fear deserves your energy, and that you, in all your complexity, are worthy of peace. Because the goal isn't to become someone who never feels anxious or paranoid. The goal is to become someone who knows how to respond when those feelings arise, who knows how to pause, reflect, ask for help, and find their center again. That is strength. That is growth. That is freedom. We feel anxious and paranoid because, deep within the human brain, survival instincts still govern how we process the world, even in the absence of actual danger. Our ancestors evolved in environments where a rustle in the bushes could mean a predator, so hyper-awareness kept them alive. That same primitive wiring still exists in us today, except the threats have changed, from wild animals to emotional stress, fear of rejection, job instability, and social judgment. Anxiety is our internal alarm system. It warns us, often unnecessarily, when something might go wrong. Paranoia takes that to another level. It convinces us that people are against us, that the worst is inevitable, that we must defend ourselves even in safe situations. These feelings often stem from early life experiences. Growing up in unpredictable homes, experiencing betrayal, abandonment, or trauma. When the people we trusted failed us, our brain learned not to trust the world. Add to that the overwhelming pressure of modern life, minus 24/7 news cycles, social media comparisons, financial stress, and the belief that we must always be doing more. And we're left in a chronic state of fight or flight. We become mentally exhausted but alert, convinced that something terrible is just around the corner. And because the mind seeks patterns, we interpret ordinary things, a missed text, a silent look, a delayed response, as proof of danger or judgment. But these thoughts, while real in sensation, are often distorted. Anxiety and paranoia are not flaws, they're protective responses. But when they become constant, they no longer help us. They harm us. Healing begins when we realize that not every thought deserves a reaction, and not every fear reflects reality. It begins with slowing down, grounding ourselves, and choosing not to believe everything we think. We must learn to separate what feels true from what is true, and in that space, peace becomes possible.